Welcome to the Enjoying Your Life channel. Today I have a special treat for you as we talk about vintage shopping today. Whether you are buying vintage clothing or vintage furniture, I will give you some tips today on what to look for and how to go about your findings for your vintage decor. All right, I am with my mom today as we browse from different vintage shops for this Mother's Day weekend. Today we are at Costwold Marketplace here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So let's go ahead and get started. Also, check for your stamps and dates. So you want to make sure that those are what you are looking for your vintage furniture.
That's for the women. That's for
you
us
want
women.
to pay attention to the time periods
That's
and
nice.
look for well
things.
done repairs. Do not compromise on your structural integrity. You do not want to compromise. If you know what you are looking for when you go out, you already have in mind what you are looking for, please do not compromise. Now be open. I'm going to tell you that. That's a tip. Be open to discover new stuff and new finds while you're out. Just go with your gut. That's the main thing. As you see, me and my mom, we do not have any grandchildren or children with us. I say one of the best tips is to have an open mind and not bring any children with you when you are vintage shopping. Because a lot of people, a lot of other customers are usually trying to keep it quiet and really are being specific and detailed in their shopping, and they're going on a hunch. They are going with their gut and they want to have a feel for things. So usually it's pretty quiet in a vintage store. So if you bring kids, it may be noisy and may be a distraction to things that you are trying to find and discover, and also a distraction to others who are also discovering new things. Sometimes we wonder how we will know if furniture is of good quality. Well, we want to look for the obvious. We want to look for things that are not wobbly. We want to make sure that the frames, like on a sofa, is strong and rigid and that they don't creak or sag when you lift a corner. So you want to look at those things. You want to look at the construction. Everything should be solid. And you want to look at your hardwoods. And you want to make sure that the wooden pegs and everything is reinforced, that they're glued in and that they're strewed in. Sometimes they're strewed in with blocks. So that's how you can tell if furniture is of good quality. Now, what about
she was coming past? That's why I moved
being a bargain shopper? You can do that. The only tip that I have for being a bargain shopper is to know how to negotiate. So you have to be very mindful and practice your negotiation skills. And I think that's how you will get a good bargain. And how you're going to bargain? Well, first of all, you're going to do your research. You're going to know that product that you are looking for. So you are going to know the history of that item. So when it comes down to bargaining, you are knowing what you are talking about. You're going to consider the age of the item. And you're going to look for items that are not in demand, and that will help you have a good bargain. You also want to look for items that are rare or hard to find. And sometimes that will help you buy like a vintage pro. So mainly know how to bargain, how to haggle, how to negotiate, and know the history of your item. That will make all the difference in the world. Let me also say there is a 100-year rule for antiques. Okay, so there is a difference between antique and buying vintage. Okay, so according to the American Customs regulation, if anything is more than a century, over 100 years old, it should be classified as an antique rather than vintage. All right? When we talk about knowing the history of the items that you are looking for, that will also give you a clue as to if the furniture that you are looking for is worth the money that you are going to pay. For instance, if you were buying a piece of oak and it existed in the 16th and 17th centuries, you can kind of guess what the value is because of the age. And it's very important to know what kind of furniture it is. So if it's wood, you need to know if it is walnut, if it's mahogany, if it's satin wood. This will help determine your value.
Rachel.
Overall, investing in well-made vintage pieces can save you money in the long run because they tend to be more durable than some of our modern counterparts. So you'll be getting a good deal. Either way, most likely. And although we like our vintage pieces, a lot of people prefer antiques. Because antiques are much older than vintage items, so they often reflect a bygone era and have cultural or historical value that surpasses the vintage items. I'm going to share with you 10 of the most valuable types of collectibles that you may have at home. You may have those at home right now. Number 1, vintage comic books. Number 2, baseball cards. Number 3, vintage bakeware. Number 4, rare coins. Number 5, vintage toys. Number 6, stamps. Number 7, vintage magazines. Number 8, antique furniture. Number 9, jewelry. And number 10, antique, classic, and vintage cars. I also want to share with you an app called Value My Stuff. It's one of the world's leading online art, antique, and collectibles valuation and appraisal service. All you have to do is upload your photos and receive your valuation report within 48 hours. How neat is that? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're not a subscriber, please become a new subscriber. We live creatively here and we enjoy our lives in every area. Also, like the video, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And remember that vintage shopping, it requires some vision and imagination. That's it. Vision and imagination. I love you guys, and I'll see you in an upcoming informative video.